It's very flash, that, isn't it? I made up with how flash that is. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Welcome to Tuesday. Feeling a little bit more bright this morning. I really struggled getting up yesterday morning. Diana Irie first past the post this morning. Swish. Look at that, straight in there. Good morning, Joanne. So I'm going to have to speak to Wallace about that, aren't I? Because that countdown's pretty epic. And I think we need a branded one. What do you guys think? I think we need to have a look at maybe getting that one sorted. Wallace? Yeah. He's awake, by the way. We're not playing Wallace Roulette today. He is not there. We have an empty barrel today. You know the countdown video? That cool countdown video. We could make a branded one easy enough, couldn't we? Can we? He's going to make one, you guys. You look tired. We were up for a lot of last night. Right. The weather, I mean, we're going to talk about the weather just now, but what was the weather like where you were overnight last night? Because we had a storm and a half, didn't we?
It was the worst, longest storm ever.
It was the worst, longest storm ever. So about, what time was it? About 11:15 last night, 11 o'clock last night here in Preston. The sky started flashing, and I don't mean like just like cracks of lightning. It was literally every couple of seconds. What did anybody else get that last night? And then this morning, probably about 3:30, 4 o'clock, the heavens opened here. They absolutely opened. It was proper forked lightning. There was all sorts of stuff going on in the middle of the night. Absolutely crazy. So good morning, Annie Cameron. Good morning. Good morning. Tutu Tuesday is here. Tutu Tuesday. Is that a thing? Do I need a tutu? I know the answer from Joanne is going to be yes. Good morning, Emma Roscoe. She's in the house. Yes, get it branded. Yeah, absolutely. Wallace is going to be on it. He'll sort it out. We'll get a little branded countdown. And I think it's quite nice as well because it gives Facebook a chance to kind of reach out and start to audience gathering, you know, get everybody in instead of me sort of waiting for a minute and a half for everyone to say good morning. So, yeah, I think it's a good idea. Good morning, Lynn Stadden. Hello, my darling. How are you? Slept Annie, no, you couldn't have done. I don't think he's blowing his nose loud enough. Yeah, there's no that we just couldn't have done. There's no way at all that we would have been able to sleep through that. It was just so loud and it was humid and close. But then this morning, it's Scotchio. It's beautiful outside there this morning. Let me know where you are in the world and also what the weather is doing. So we don't have thunderstorms this morning. Everything is kind of cleared up quite nicely and the sun has got his hat on today. No storms in Norfolk, still really humid. How are we explaining that in terms of the 3 Bs that I have right now? What is it looking like where you are? Really bad thunder, lightning. It woke the dog up at 4 a.m. He was frightened. I live in Preston. Yeah, Len, same. So yeah, we were wide awake at about 4 o'clock. The heavens just opened and now it's absolutely glorious outside. Joanne Smith, no lightning here. Good morning, Rosie Wood. Jackie Scott Baker in the house. Good morning. Yeah, so that's what the weather was doing yesterday. I struggled yesterday. I had to be a little bit gentle with myself yesterday, you guys. So you remember me saying when I woke up, I was feeling it a bit. It was hard to get out of bed. And I don't normally kind of feel like that on a Monday morning. I was tired yesterday. So yeah, I got all of the work done, but it was I just had to remind myself yesterday that I didn't need to move mountains. Like yesterday wasn't a mountain movement day. Yesterday was really, we still did things. We still moved forward. I went to bed last night further along in where I wanted to be than I was in the morning. But it was definitely one of those days where I was trying not to beat myself up for not doing everything, for not doing all the things I kind of set out to do. And it really reminded me as well that first thing in the morning, one of the things that I need to do is write down the stuff that I want to do and then put it into like importance. What do I need to get done? So I don't really like to beat myself up with the should stick, but it's kind of what I did yesterday. And I had to call myself in. I had to call myself in to check and just say, look, Danny, you still have done the things. Does anybody else get this? Please let me know in the comments. And I need to remind you as well as myself that a step forward is not a step backwards, and you haven't stayed the same. So you've got to celebrate it nevertheless, even the small steps. It isn't necessarily about going 10x at anything. It isn't necessarily about running full steam ahead at anything. Sometimes it's just about getting some stuff done. And yesterday we still got some stuff done. So I had to be quite gentle with myself yesterday. Scorchio day ahead. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is. No thunder in Rochester, in Kent. Jackie, what's the weather doing? Scorchio over that way. I imagine it's going to be Scorchio all over the UK, but please do let me know. Not quite Scorchio, but pleasantly warm and not muggy in Cheshire, thank God. I'm going to give you a Scorchio beat anyway for Cheshire because we don't have anything in the middle. We don't have like a cloud and a sunny beat, so you can get a sunny beat and we can be positive. Good morning, Victoria. Hello, my darling. Yeah, this is my Insta post yesterday. Was it? Great minds think alike. I've had a hard day, but okay. I'm glad you're okay. Yeah, this is it. You could beat yourself up with a should stick, or you can celebrate the fact that you got anything done. And I think that we don't give ourselves enough credit sometimes for just getting some stuff done, anything. And for those of you that are struggling, it might even just be brushing your teeth or having a shower. So cut yourself some slack. This is your official permission. We've got hazy, hot, and humid in Brum. That's Scorchio in it. There we go. We really do. We really, really do need to. It's not on the priority list because of all the design work that we've got to do for all the things coming up. But we definitely need some different types of bees. Victoria, you're a strong beat. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. As are you guys out there watching. So, good morning. Good morning. Is there anything that I need to tell you that you need to know about? You need to know that the waitlist to be heard, so you want to be a speaker, is now open. We'll be doing some work on the website in the next couple of days to get all the details on there. You can register your interest and get onto the course at the end of September. So just a few short weeks away, we go again. For anybody that's wanted to work with me, I'm super excited. There's 2 times a year that this opens. So it's coming up to one of the really exciting points in the IATQB calendar. So we'll be launching Be Heard. We'll also be launching the Be Inspired Mastermind, which is where you get to speak at Be Inspired, which has now moved to the 15th of October, and you will be able to come along. We've got a couple of tickets left. We will be socially distancing. We will be masking. If you need a mask, we'll be having hand sanitizers on the table. You guys will be kept super, super safe, but also super entertained, super inspired, super motivated with our amazing speakers. So I've given our speakers a couple of weeks off. So it's been quite nice, I think, for everybody just to take the pressure off for a couple of weeks, have a little bit of a breather. 15th of October is when Be Inspired is. That's enough from all of the updates from me. If you do want information on the waitlist for Be Heard, so you want to be a speaker, just pop waitlist on to the comments and I will sort you out with a link. It's going to reach 35 today in Kent. Hot, hot, hot. I don't think it'll get quite that hot here in Preston, but it is. It's pretty red as already. Like, it never went cool. So, all right, without further ado, we are going to bring our guest on for this morning. Now, for so many of you out there, side hustles are a thing. It might be that you have a skill or a craft. It might be that you are involved with a multi-level marketing company. It might be that you've decided to, have grow a service-based industry outside of having a job. But side hustles more and more are a thing. And we're going to be talking about how our guest this morning took her side hustle to creating an incredible role for herself within the cake making industry. So please welcome on to the show this morning, the gorgeous and the fabulously talented, and we're going to be talking about bees as well this morning. I'm very excited. The fabulously talented Lauren Smyth, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You are welcome. What's the weather doing where you are, Lauren?
Well, I don't know if you can tell by the shine on my head, but it's pretty warm.
It's Scorchio. Whereabouts are you?
I'm in Essex.
You're in Essex. We've got Kent and Essex. There we go, represented by that big bee there. There you go. You're officially represented on the shit weather map. There you go. Right. thank you for joining us. Thank you for getting up early. I know it's a little bit nerve-wracking if this isn't the sort of thing that you do all the time. Coming on people's lives. I have to remind everybody that comes onto the show that we're not quite on the telly yet. So, we have our small but perfectly formed audience, but we really are just a group of friends just getting ready for the work day together. So tell us, Lauren, what is it that you do?
So I run the Honeybee Wedding Cake Company, so it started off as Honeybee Bakes. I did it, and that's what I started off doing as my kind of side hustle. And then it's grown and grown, and then beginning of 2019 I rebranded. So I kept the Honeybee because obviously why would you not?
Why would you not?
And just because I just wanted to do wedding cakes, that's what I really loved. So that's kind of what I turned it into. So so I run the Honeybee Wedding Cake Company, and I also run. I'm Lauren Grace Cake Coach, so I kind of do some cake business coaching for other cake makers, looking to kind of up level. So kind of just showing them like how I got to where I got to, and my experiences, as I go along.
Yeah, because cake making often for many people doesn't really start out as I'm going to be a cake maker, that's what I'm going to do. It starts out as a love, doesn't it? It's not like kind of chefing. People often go into that, go and learn it at college. I want to go and do hospitality. I want to specialize in chefing, or with cake making. I know this because my mum. Baking was passed down from generation to generation. Like my grandma was an avid baker, my mum was an avid baker, my sister's an avid baker. I skip the gene for me. I'm more of a cook, so I enjoy like making like meals, and they're great at making the desserts. Actually, it's quite complimentary.
Perfect, yeah.
But with baking, it's often, and this is what I find now more than ever. I don't know about you, Lauren, but people are picking up a whisk, and people are picking up the flour at home. And then they're finding actually that it's really quite cathartic, and it's like colouring it in, and you can get lost in baking. And my mum does this. But also, if you have a knack for it, you end up making more and more. Is that what you found?
Everyone asks you to make them, yeah. I think, and the thing is, like, it's absolutely, you explained it perfectly. It's something that you kind of like, you love doing. It's always a passion. People who make cakes are always passionate about it. And it's often, you often get a lot of mums doing it because it is something great you can kind of do around the kids. And a lot of people I know started doing it because they started making their kids' birthday cakes. Right. And then it kind of was like, oh, actually, I'm okay at this, so it kind of like goes like that. The thing is,
they start to challenge themselves year on year again. I've got mum friends that do this.
Yeah, and there's an expectation of like, oh, what you did last year, now you need to do something a bit more. But the thing is, I think that you find often in the industry is that people do it because they love making cakes, but they don't have that kind of business experience. Kind of where I've kind of ended up going into that side of things, because I find it frustrating. I see so many really talented bakers, but they're just not charging like anywhere near as much as they should, because they think, oh, no one will pay it. So they kind of
and then
staff.
The charging thing is huge, particularly within the cake industry, because it's not as clients, and I know this is the case. I know it is because I've had lots of conversation with lots of different cake makers. Clients think, well, it's only flour, eggs, and butter and milk and all that sort of stuff. What possibly am I paying for? And it's years and often years of learning the craft. I mean, particularly sugar crafting and the whole icing and the flavouring and the texture and getting all of that right is a super skill.
Yeah, absolutely. And hours and hours of work and courses that you go on and everything else, and the stress, the stress. Most cake makers are up like late the night before, because you can't start a cake until a few days before. It's not like you can kind of be working on it, so it's stressful and it's hard work. And a lot of people that kind of you hear all the stories, oh, I'll just make my own, it'll be fine, and then it always and then they kind of realize,
go ahead,
I know why she charges.
I know someone that'll pay 40 quid for it. No, that's all right, you can, but what is it that you're getting? And that skill and the design work as well is a whole different skill in itself. So you've got consultations all the way through to the execution and delivery of it. That's a process and a half. That's not 40 quid of anybody's time. In fact, when you put it like that, you think, God, like how is anybody making money in the cake industry? So having somebody like you to be able to guide those people making that transition from side hustle to legitimate business is mega, mega handy. So what brought you to cake making? What brought you to your business?
So I only started up 5 years ago, and it's I never kind of had. I've not got entrepreneurial, background. There's none of my family have that. There's no one that's kind of ever, done that. But I do have baking. My mum and my gran, I baked with them when I was younger. So I loved I loved baking, but it absolutely never was anything until about maybe 6 years ago that I thought that I would ever do it as a business. Because I did a business degree, and then I went into investment banking. I did all that like kind of corporate life. I did a lot of in my degree. We did like an entrepreneurship module, and that was the first that I'd kind of ever heard of it. And I remember looking at it thinking, no, I don't want to work for myself. I don't want to be my own boss. That sounds like too scary. I didn't have confidence then or anything, I suppose, young or whatever. But it was never kind of something that was in my destiny. But I loved making cakes. When I met my now husband, I used to, when we went to go visit his family, I'd always take some like cupcakes or cookies or something that I'd made as like that, that way of like me. And then each time I went,
food is a gift, isn't it? Like so many people do this. Like I do it with cooking again. Like people come to my house, like, I'm a cook for you. I don't know if there's some like Italian blood in me somewhere, but like I'm getting everything out. We are having courses. We are not just having I'm not just making egg and chips if you come into my house. It is a validation. Food is like a validation thing, isn't it? It's a gift giving.
Yeah, showing people that they're worth kind of the time and effort of doing something lovely for them. And but then I couldn't turn up without anything. Each time we turned up, it'd be like, what have you got?
What have you brought? Right, so shit. Cough up is costing me money now.
But it was quite good because it was a great way of like, experimenting and doing kind of stuff and, and getting that kind of validation that, actually, I'm quite good at this. And then when I was pregnant, so I've got 6-year-old twins. I had to think about that then.
I can't believe how many of our guests have twins. Like
I know
there's something in the water with my guests, but so many. Like yesterday's guest had twins. Last week, 2 of our guests had twins. Crazy amount of multiple children in one go that loads of our guests have. I think it must fuel that fire. You've got to be some kind of organized to have multiple babies at one time.
Well, that's it. I think there is, definitely. Kind of like when you can like manage 2 newborn babies at once. Like, I mean, I don't know how I did. I've sort of blocked it from my mind.
Nobody does. I don't think anybody does. When they go back, they go, how are they even alive? We don't know.
But this is it. I started up the business when I was on maternity. Well, I didn't actually kind of register the business, but I started kind of baking cakes and seeing if it was viable when I was on maternity leave. Right. So I remember my mother-in-law saying to me, like, Lauren, you're allowed to kind of sit down when the babies are napping, or whereas I'm a busy person. It's sort of it's a bit of a coping mechanism for me as well. I think that's a lot of people that've got their own businesses, isn't it? You kind of
you end up doing like even Sunday just gone. It got to about 6 o'clock on Sunday, and I'm sat there going like this. Let's come to like start writing or do something.
I'm finding it really hard in the heat because I'm a busy person trying to get stuff done. I mean, I've got the boys, so I've got 6-year-old like twins at home. I heard what you were saying about kind of beating yourself with this should stick, but I've been quite good this month. I'm still working and busy, but up until kind of the school holidays, I really struggled because I was trying to do everything because the kids are at home, so it's homeschooling, and trying to run the business. I mean, I make wedding cakes. Obviously, there's not many weddings happening anymore. All of my weddings, my whole year has kind of just completely.
How have you found that? Because again, it's one of those that, like, same with Nishma, with the stationery, same with me, with the singing. Whole legs of industry have been kicked out. How have you found that?
Tough, honestly, tough. Because I rebranded at the start of 2019 to Just Do Wedding Cakes. So I've literally sort of like, I'm not, none of my marketing or, you know, anything that, you know, I'm not attracting anyone other than wedding cake, which
wasn't
is, you know,
geared up for anything other than weddings.
And that's, I was like doing really, really well because I was attracting, I was fully booked. My whole of 2020 was like back to back, fully booked. And it was my year that it was really going to kind of, I was flying, you know, and I was so proud of myself of how I'd built it all up, and I was doing so well. And I had some really amazing cakes to do. I'm a bit like, I've got like, you know, hexagon shaped cakes, like all of that kind of thing that like fits into my, you know, and I was so looking forward to it. And then it like got to March and it just went, and then every month it was like, right, okay, and cancel. And it's been quite hard, you know, honestly, not just from a financial perspective, but just that kind of way you think,
like, what do you do
on this?
Well,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I was really lucky in terms of the timing of things, because last Christmas time, I worked with Lisa Johnson. That's how I ended up.
Oh, she's fabulous.
Yeah, she's amazing. And honestly, I know people say like she changes your life, but the course that I did with her, I did the Passion Passive course, and that kind of got me on the route of doing the coaching. That's kind of where that came from. It was something that I'd always thought I knew I wanted to do, but just didn't know how. You know, and so luckily I'd already started building a bit of a kind of community. So I've got a Facebook group that's got cake makers in there. And so I'd already kind of built a bit of that kind of audience. And then in March, I think I probably had about 2 weeks of just like crumple. And then I was like, right, okay, I need to do
what
something.
now? You can't sit in that space. You don't know when you're coming out of it. So you can have a couple of weeks where you kind of like John Travolta when he goes into Maya Wallace's house and he's like this. Like, okay, you can do that, but you can't unpack there because what the fuck do you do? You've got mouths to feed. Mama got bills.
Yeah. And for my mental health as well, I've not to sit still and not doing anything. It just didn't. I felt, you know, I needed to kind of to be, I don't know, but yeah. So luckily, I kind of already had that audience, and I was planning on bringing out a course in sort of after wedding season finished. So it's all a bit slowly, but then I was like, right, okay, I'm going to do it now. I'm just going to do it and see, and sort of asked if people wanted to do it. Yeah, and I've just finished it. We did a 12-week course with 10 amazing women, sort of helping them. They want to do that transition into wedding cakes. So it was like a program of all different sort of modules doing that, and it was brilliant. It gave me something to focus on, you know, when you, rather than wallowing, you know, I did it as a beta course. It didn't kind of earn me a huge amount of money, but it kind of set me off in a different direction, and just gave me something really kind of positive to focus on. So it was amazing.
Yeah, when you're helping people, and it's kind of like with the show. I get up every morning. I've got something to get up for. And this show itself, as it stands, doesn't make me any money. I don't get paid to get up every morning and do this, but I do it because it's something really positive that I can do. And it helps me think of different ways of doing things. And as well, because I'm a massive investor in my own learning, I get to put myself in front of people like you and all of our inspirational people. I get to just like learn. I don't have to pay them. I get to pick the brain. It's brilliant. It's very cheeky on my part, but we get to learn and grow together. And I think that providing that space for people to grow now more so than ever. I mean, particularly now, Lauren, are you not finding that more and more people are taking up baking, or they certainly did right at the start of lockdown
bakers.
Like, how many people are making banana bread?
Yeah, and there's people doing it anyway for themselves, but then there's a lot of businesses that have started up, and some legitimate and some not, you know, because you have to register with your environmental health and everything. There's a lot that you can't just sell food to the public without
a lot of people doing like tray bakes from the kitchen and what have you, and then putting a shout out on Facebook, and there's all sorts that can go wrong with. There's a reason why those guidelines are there, right?
Yeah, and it's a really tricky one, because it's one that I know a lot of registered cake makers get really, you know, aggro about, because it's like, well, they're taking, you know, our customers and stuff. And I think in some ways it is quite damaging, because it does bring down that average price, because people think, oh, I can make, you know, why would you charge more than £10 for a tray bake? But when you actually take into account, all they're taking into account is if they are, is the cost of their ingredients.
The ingredients.
But running a business, I think that's what most people kind of don't realize. And when I did this on the course, I kind of was talking through, like, think about all the other things that you spend your time on, you know, and the money on, and just, you know, like insurance, you know, you need to be insured. You have to have public liability insurance. You know, if you're doing weddings, you can do wedding fairs and all of that. All of that is time and money spent on your business. It's not just standing there in front of your mixer making your cakes, which the kind of new bakers don't really realize. But then I think a lot of what I say is, you know, if you really are a really good baker, you've got a good kind of loyal customer base, they won't care about those £10 tray bake people. That's not, you know, that's not your
That's
client.
not what they're coming for. They're not coming for £10 tray bakes. They're coming for beautiful, exquisite cakes who, you know, where they know that they've got that time served and they know that they've got at least the skill served, you know, and people that are new often come in and maybe they are super skilled in the first instance. They just landed. It's just their kind of natural thing. Like I opened my mouth and I was able to sing. I'm not really had any training. I was able to do it. But you do get people that are talented that way that come through. But those clients that are after wedding cakes will want to go to a safe pair of hands. And if you're not showing up like a safe pair of hands, you're going to be a cheap pair of hands, and they'll get what they pay for.
People do pay for peace of mind, don't they? I think, and if you've marketed yourself well and you've got your messaging right and everything else, then you don't really need to worry about those people.
Yeah, and it's being able to. The other skill, I guess, is being able to articulate and then create what people are wanting you to make, because it's for somebody who isn't of a design background, they can say, oh, well, I want this, this, and this. But that might not be practical to have this, this, and this. Or it might not be within your skill set. Or it might take a lot longer than they're anticipating. And it might look beautiful, but the amount of skill that goes into it means that they might have priced themselves out of it. So having to know how you can create the vision for those people, that's a process in itself. I mean, Wallace does a bit of design work, and the bit that he finds the most difficult is people going, well, I don't really know what I want, or I kind of know what I want, but then they don't kind of know what they want, and it's hard for them to kind of get it out of their face. Do you find that when you're having consultations with people?
Yeah. I mean, you kind of get the extremes. You get like, can you make me this cake?
I want that cake.
Like, yeah. And I don't copy cakes. I think I always try and say to them, like, you know, it's not fair on the original baker. You know, you kind of can't copy what
ripping off their work.
Designing. And also kind of, you want something, you know, I kind of sell it to them like, you want something like personalized for your day, don't you? Yeah, something different for you. So I always try and kind of sway them into something that we can do something along those lines, you know. But yeah, I love that. I love that design process. I did when I started, I found that hard, but it is kind of just a practice, and the more you do it, I think you kind of more you realize. You know, so yeah, a little bit of an idea does help when they come to you with like no idea. You're like, right, okay. But you can get an idea. That's why I love the consultations. You sit down and you talk to them about, you know, what's the day, what's the vibe of your day, you know, you kind of going rustic, is it all upmarket, what stationery are you having, what kind of flowers, and you kind of, you know, figure it all out for them. And then because
it's the showstopper for a wedding, or for most events, really, birthdays, it's the showstopper. Like for a wedding, you've got the dress and you've got the cake. They're the two things that people take the most photos of, isn't it? You know, the dress, the bride, of course, is the kind of the showstopper of the day. But the cake is the next one. It's the next focal point. It's the next bit where the bride and groom, after the ceremony on a stage, they're cutting the cake. That cake's getting a photo taken of it. So there is a lot of onus on that cake being the centerpiece, I guess, for the day, which is no pressure.
No, I know. I do feel for. I'm actually really glad I'm not making cakes in this weather, because it is so hard.
I was going to say, how do you cope when it's
a buttercream cake? And
you must, and then it's thinking about that. So when it does get hot and people do order buttercream cakes like that, do you need a refrigerated van? That's another massive expense. Or do you what do you need? This it's just there's so much involved, and the progression from side hustle where you're making, tray bakes to take into work on a Friday or for people's birthdays, all the way through to creating these amazing wedding cakes, must have been quite a learning journey for you. How did you go about looking after your learning through that time?
Well, I don't know. I think because I had this kind of background in, although I never had an idea of starting up my own business, I did a business degree and I kind of worked in the industry. And then actually after working in investment banking, I went off traveling, and then I came back and retrained as a teacher. So I was a business and economics teacher. So kind of I kind of had a lot of that kind of knowledge, but it's still experience, isn't it? Kind of when you're doing.
I love that. That's what you bring to the like you've gone and learned business and economics, so it is helpful that you're bringing that background to your cake makers, right?
Yeah. So that's the thing, and that's where I've kind of really gone with it as well. Is I'm coaching on the business side of stuff rather than decorating. I mean, I've been a tutor and I've taught kind of cake decorating and things, and I like that. But I think it is that kind of actually that passion of doing the business side of things and making sure that people are kind of really, you know, selling themselves as they should, that I've ended up focusing on. But so I was a teacher, and then when I was on maternity leave with the boys, I started kind of making more cakes for people and just kind of seeing if it was kind of something that's viable, because I realized I really did love teaching for a while, and then it just became a bit like it's just so all encompassing. Being a teacher is just, you can't kind of, I don't know.
It's not just going to the place where you're teaching and then teaching for that time. It's all the red tape. It's all the meetings. It's all the markings. It's all of the exams. It's everything, isn't it?
Yeah. And so then when I went back part-time after I'd had the boys, I kind of started to think, I definitely don't want to go back full-time.
No.
And I don't, you know, and then I started thinking, I don't know if I really want to carry on doing this, but at least I wasn't sure what else I could do.
Damn it.
But I mean, I am lucky. I've got to kind of acknowledge I'm lucky. My husband, you know, we've got his income as well, so it's not we're not only relying on my income. So we do need, you know, we need me to work and everything, and I want to work. But you've kind of got that little bit of a backup that you can kind of manage for a little while. If so I did end up kind of, you know, dropping down my salary for a bit, just while I was kind of learning and stuff. But I just basically like juggled everything and didn't sleep. So I sort of was teaching part-time, looking after the boys the rest of the week. You know, it'd be like you'd go home after 2 days. I only did 2 days because that's all we couldn't afford the childcare for two kids. So my husband dropped down to 4, so he had them a day, and my mother-in-law had them a day. And then I'd have them the other 3 days of the week, and you'd go home on the Tuesday and they'd be like, oh, enjoy your days off. And it's like, it's not days off.
They are not days off.
And then when they're in bed or when they're napping, that's when I'd then bake and I'd make their cakes.
Right.
So it wasn't easy, you know. I'm not sort of like, it took a lot of hard work, and I think you kind of have to realize that if you're going to kind of move across, you really, really need to work hard. And a lot of people I think kind of think, oh, you know, this is really hard, and it's like, well, yeah, it is. You know,
it is. When you're doing anything that grows a business, when you're doing, it's when people talk about earning, you know, multiple 5 figures or multiple 6 figures and all of this sort of stuff, you have to do that amount of work in order to generate that kind of income, even if it's just in the first instance and then it starts kind of ticking over. In order to grow a business, you've got, if you think about, okay, how much do I need to earn an hour? And you've ended up, there's got to come a bit where that's got to stop, where it's not per hour anymore. You've got to charge for your skills and expertise, and you don't charge by the hour. And then that's a shift in itself. And the whole thing when you're building a business is about shifting your mindset each time in order to level up and move it forward and grow it out and expand it and scale it. And that is hard work. That's not there's no getting away from it. You can't just wake up in the morning and suddenly start farting glitter. You can't just start, you know, your toilet paper isn't money when you go to the loo. You've got to put in the time, and you've got to put in, you can't skip the steps. And just because all of a sudden something has become very important to you doesn't necessarily mean it's become massively important to your entire circle or indeed the wider network. So if you're putting your flag in the floor and you say, right, I'm going to be a cake maker, I want to make cakes. Good. Now you've got to make it important to everybody around you so that you become the go-to cake person.
Yeah.
And that's the work, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So just like working really hard, but the other thing that I think is hard to do is what I kind of realized I had to do was, you get so stuck into making cakes. Like, okay, so right now I'm using all my time to I'm either working or looking after the kids or I'm making cakes, and you don't move forward. You know, you just stay where you are, and you're kind of like running on the spot. Yeah, you can't increase your prices because you're kind of just doing the same stuff.
You're in the business all the time. Deliver, and it's hard.
Yeah. And so I think that's kind of one of my biggest learnings is taking a step back. And I found that really difficult. You know, but you kind of have to be brave and take a step back and think, right, I need to spend some time on the business not just in it, as you're saying,
yeah.
you know, because, you know, I kind of realized that I was doing a lot of, you know, transformer cakes and things that I didn't really love doing. And you know, I started off, I was very careful, so enough, I was never the cheap cake lady, so I was always kind of priced quite high. But I managed to kind of, you know, find the right, I didn't realize it at the time, now it's something I've figured out, but I did have an ideal client, and I was, you know, putting my messaging towards that at the time. I've since sort of like realized what I was doing, and then and kind of worked even harder at that. But yeah, it's really important to kind of take that step back and sometimes kind of go, right, I'm not going to take an order next week because I need to set up a website. Like I need to, you know, whatever it is that I need to do next to get myself to that next stage.
You've got to hold some space for yourself. That's it.
And that, again, that was the thing with no, and people, I think people get scared because, and I understand it, you know, it's much, especially if, you know, if you really do rely on like every penny that comes in for paying bills, then I'm not going to say, oh well, you know, you need to be braver, because like
everybody down tools, you're not brave enough.
No,
like starve for a couple of weeks.
Yeah. But sometimes you have to, like, I would like perhaps like go crazy and like work really, really hard one week on a lot more than I, you know, really could do. Yeah, do loads and loads. So then I had a week spare that I could like really, really sort out some stuff. And then that's what I've kind of always done. And then trying not to be worried, like I don't really get many orders in January. Not many people get married in January, but that's fine. Like I spend January really, really kind of like, you know, I've rebranded again this year, and, you know, doing all sorts of things that kind of help you kind of get that message. And so that's one of my biggest learnings, really, I think, is to make sure that you're spending time working on your business.
And it's just as important to stand back and just see how all the cogs are working together. Like, are we in growth here? Am I stagnating here? Am I even selling to the right people? Like you say, if you don't want to be making Transformers cakes, for someone else out there, you know, birthday cakes, Transformers cakes might be the thing for you. But if you find yourself just accepting the work, and again, with singing, I was doing this with singing, I was saying yes to everything because I was so scared of not saying yes. Like I was so scared of being in a position where I was previously, where, you know, we were homeless, we were hand to mouth, that's where the way we were living. There was no money left at the end of the month. There was lots of months left.
When you've got that kind of, that has actually happened to you, then it's a real fear, isn't it?
Absolutely. And for lots of people out there, like kind of making that decision, but that investment of your time. So then, like you say, I had to really have a think about it. So what I did was take a load of gigs, lots and lots and lots of gigs, and then stack it up. And then I was able to take a couple of weeks out, have a think about it. Okay, so where is it that I want to go? What is it that I want to do? And moving into this space was really what I wanted to do. And saying yes to the other things is something that I'll do to keep my toe in, as opposed to the other way around, and really flogging on the things that I don't really want to sing Build Me Up Buttercup every Friday and Saturday night to people. I don't. Can you believe it? And it's this, you know, when you're in your business, working on your business is so important, especially when you want to scale, make more money, grow your business, have more people know. You've got to make time to network. You've got to make time to, you know, look at who's out there in your online and offline community. How do you align yourself? Because again, your work starts where your network stops, because then again, you've got to extend out, find more people. You'll find this with the business stuff and with the cake stuff. You know, it's a constant trying to find new places to be. Like here now today, this is a new place for you to be, and this is you still working on your business, which I just think is brilliant.
I'm a bit of, I think I am, you know, I'm coming up for 40, but I've never stopped learning. I've always gone, like I went back to uni to train to be a teacher, you know, I went back to, you know, doing sort of more and more things and always kind of learning. I just I don't want to stay still. Someday I probably will.
No, I don't. I think once you've got it in you, once you've been bitten by the bug, it'll just be, it is what it is. Then you're just in a constant state of growth, and what you do with that may change, but you'll just, it's one of the basic human needs. There's 6 basic human needs, and one of it's contribution, one of them's, you know, one of them is growth, and it's learning. And once you realize that in yourself, and that's a way that you can fill up your cup, you're not just doing that in a way to grow your business, but you're doing that in a way to fill up some of your heart as well, and getting that fulfillment. And you know, people coming on courses and coming to learn with you is another way for them to do that, which is just, it's just ace. Can I just ask, if we go back to cakes, because we haven't talked enough about cakes, Lauren, How do you keep up with things like trends? How do you spot what's coming? Because I know particularly in the wedding industry, you've got to stay ahead, haven't you? You've got to see what's coming so that you can help couples kind of keep on trend, because it is a fashionable place to be, the wedding industry.
Yeah. I don't know really. I'm sort of my Instagram feed is full of cakes and things. I'm also a bit. I have found that a lot of cake trends kind of seem to come from interiors as well, and that's something that I've always been quite like. I love kind of. Not that I've kind of done much of it, but I'm the one that reads the books and the blogs and stuff, but doesn't actually do
It's the eye for design, though, isn't it? It's seeing how all the palettes fit together and the shapes fit together, I guess.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm quite like, and I think that was some of my, the bee and the hexagons and the honeycombs and all that. Like, I like the geometric stuff. So yeah, I think you just kind of you sort of see what's possible out there, and then you kind of have a go. Like, I make a lot of display cakes, because I think that's a really, really good way of practicing stuff and knowing if it actually works, you know, and sketching stuff out. But ultimately, I think a lot of when you look on Instagram and Pinterest and stuff, you have these really fashionable cakes, but it's not a huge proportion of people that go for fashionable cakes for their wedding. People want modern cakes, a lot. I do like quite tall cakes, like sharp edges, so they're quite, say modern contemporary kind of style, but they're still mostly white, and they're still mostly, they've got like flowers on them and stuff. So there's new techniques that come out, and you kind of want to make sure you can do that so that you can kind of offer that to people. But I think people sort of, a lot of the time, there's some people that kind of go for the really, really, really like super trendy stuff. But a lot of the time, I think with a wedding, they kind of want something that's fairly traditional, but with that little twist. With a twist. Just kind of being able to have those little things that you can suggest that they might not have thought of.
What's popular at the minute?
Do you know what? It's really hard at the minute because
there's no weddings at the minute
right now. Yeah, it's actually a really difficult question. A lot of the geometric stuff, like some hexagon shaped tiers, like tall tiers, things that are kind of a little bit, like I say, kind of still looks like a cake, like not novelty, but just like things that are a bit different.
Like geodes and things like that I've seen, where it looks like like the thing cut open and there's like crystals there and stuff.
Some of them though, have you ever seen them when they're like got the pink geode, like
they look like vaginas?
Well, yeah, I didn't want to say. I'll let you say.
You can say that, but they do look like vaginas.
I have never made one of them. I look at them.
A vagina cake.
Yeah. Like what? Yeah, I'm not really sure about those ones, but yeah, they do. I think if they're done in a with a different pattern, then they can look fab. But yeah, some of them I'm a bit sort of like, really?
Like, are you sure? Is that what we want? Yeah. Oh, why not? Yeah, go have your vagina cake. Like, do the thing. You do you, boo.
The thing that's really out at the moment is the like dried flowers on cakes. So you kind of have like textured cakes as well, is a really big thing. So it'd be sort of like, all nice and smooth and that, but then you kind of put like all texture on it, and then like pampas grass and dried like palms and stuff like that on the cakes. And that kind of, I think that kind of natural. I think people are kind of going a little bit back to kind of things that are a bit more natural and flowy rather than kind of all the sparkle and bling and all that. I think that's kind of gone. I mean, I'm from Essex, so there's a lot of sparkle and bling being asked.
I was going to say, there is Essex like the sparkle. It's like Liverpool. We like the sparkle and bling is a thing.
Yeah.
Have you ever done a traveller's cake?
I haven't. No.
Have you not?
No.
We've got it, particularly in Liverpool, just because of the. There are shops there. You said my big fat gypsy wedding, and all that sort of stuff. There are specific shops that cater particularly to travellers, and the cakes are just they're insane. They're so crazy. They're so crazy.
Yeah. I know people that made cakes for travellers, and they because you can have dummy cakes. You don't all have to be cake. Like you can have a huge big cake that's got like polystyrene tiers in it. But I know a lot of like my friends that do travellers cakes that say they want it all to be cake because they're like generous people, aren't they? They're like, they don't want to like, we've not had fake cake in that. Like all of that is cake. Like send everybody home with a whole cake.
Everyone's having a cake. Love it.
Yeah, no, I'd love to.
So what's coming up next for you? So you've done the 12 weeks and it's been a learning experience for everyone involved, which is brilliant. What's happening next for the cake making? What's happening next for the business side of things? What are you excited about?
Well, I'm excited and hoping that like this bloody coronavirus is going to do one, because yeah, and I know I'm not the only one who thinks that. The uncertainty of things is hard, because I've got a lot of this year's, like, I've got a lot of them kind of rebooked for February, March, and I'm sort of, I worry, are they going to happen? But basically my whole of 2021 is now fully booked already.
Yeah.
Because 2020 was fully booked and they've all moved, and I already had, so it's like more than sort of overbooked. I wasn't planning to do as many next year because I wanted to kind of do more of the coaching things.
But everybody's doubling up.
Yeah, and I couldn't say to someone, oh no, I can't do your cake because I want to change my business direction. It just didn't feel fair. So I kind of, it's a bit frustrating, but I think you kind of have to, sometimes in business you have to do what's right for you, but sometimes you have to do what's right,
Yeah, it's the right thing to do, isn't it? If so many people, everybody this year has had their weddings taken away from them, then of course, naturally they're going to move it through to next year. But then even you as a business, you still got to take on the extra work for next year, because it's a whole nother year's work. It's putting everyone back a year if you don't take that work.
No, exactly. Yeah. So next year I'm really, really busy with the cakes, but I am planning at the moment. I'm looking to launch again the course that I just did, but it's going to be sort of slightly improved from, because it was a beta course. So I'm going to do it probably over 16 weeks. I think we did every like Tuesday night. It was supposed to be an hour, but it always went over to like an hour and a half or more. And there's more stuff that I just wanted to stuff everything in. It's like I know I want to kind of get all this across. Yeah. So I've decided to make it longer, just rather than. I can't cut anything out, so I'm just going to make it longer.
Yeah, you don't want to cut anything out, do you? You want to make sure everyone gets what it is that they need. But sometimes it's I've been on courses where you kind of sat there for 2.5 hours and you think, oh, I just need to do the bit that you told me about at the first, but stretching it out in that bad of an idea, so they can. When things are new concepts to people, even when you're an expert, it's hard not to give them everything. You've almost kind of got to drip feed it so they can implement this little bit and then implement this little bit. And it's the same for the speaking courses as well. The first time I just wanted to like cram everything in, give everything. Whereas actually, stretching it out allows people to breathe and it's not as overwhelming. So
so that has been really good to kind of learn that and get that feedback. I got really, really good feedback from everybody. So so I'm going to be running that again in the autumn, I think, because I don't have the cakes and stuff, and keep that will keep going through into the new year, and then hopefully the cakes will pick up again, and then when but I'll just kind of keep my hand in a bit with the coaching stuff, kind of doing a few one-to-ones and things like that. But so and then hopefully 2022 just feels like so far away.
God, it's really, so far away. I know we're blink and it'll be here, but still.
The idea of that is then I'll kind of get a balance. I never want to stop. I don't want to kind of stop doing cakes and just do coaching, because I feel like you need to keep doing it, don't you? Kind of to know the position that everybody else is in.
You've got to keep your toe in. You've got to keep your toe in. Absolutely.
I really like to kind of like probably do about half the amount of cakes that I'm doing at the moment, and then do a bit more of the coaching, and then I get kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah.
That's it. And before we let you go, and I want to know from you guys watching along at home as well, what's your favourite kind of cake to make? What's your favourite flavour of cake?
My favourite, I always get my favourite flavour of cake changes like with each one that I make, I think.
Because otherwise you can get sick of it, innit? You like one and then you get like a glut of it and you're like, oh, I don't fancy that kind of cake. I'm all right for carrot cake now. I'm all right, thank you. I'll have a lemon drizzle instead.
But the thing, I know this, but because I have worked really hard on all my recipes, all my cakes do taste really nice.
Like all of them, I've got to choose one of your kids now, isn't it? This is it.
Yeah. But I one of my favourites is I do one that's raspberry, white chocolate, and prosecco.
Lauren, you naughty sod. You naughty sod.
I could eat that for breakfast.
Oh, mate, that sounds like a breakfast food. That sounds like a breakfast food.
It's got fruit in it. It's like healthy.
Yeah, 1 of your 5 a day plus prosecco. That's grapes, right? It's a health food. It's a health food. It sounds like. Thank you for joining us this morning. I am just so interested to see how things grow for you, and like kudos on the bee theme, because we love a bee over here. and yeah, stay in touch. Let us know how you get on, and if you're not in our hive already, come and join the hive and come and we've got loads.
I'm in there. Yeah,
in there. So if there's any way you can help our our fellow cake makers in there with the business side of things, I know they would massively appreciate it. But Lauren, thank you for joining us. And I will speak to you soon. That was Lauren Smythe, everybody. What a fabulous, I bloody love cake. So what a fabulous way to kick off Tuesday, having a little bit of talk about business and cake, two of my favorite things. Katie Webster, fruit cake for me. I'm strange as I don't like sponge. I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm not a fan of fruit cake, but I feel like that's like the dying kind of cake. There's so many other different types of cake that when I was getting married 5 years ago, we were looking. There were so many different flavors of cake out there. It was just it was a minefield, a cakey minefield, and one I thoroughly enjoyed exploring. But thank you for joining us this morning, you guys. If you want to get hold of the waitlist for Be Heard, so you want to be a speaker, please do put waitlist in the comments and I will hook you up. Thanks for joining us as ever. There's some exciting things coming up this week. I've got a couple of freebies. I've got some nice things that I can give you. We have the Show Up Wise Up Rise Up show, right? And what I've done is, for all of you business owners out there, I've created a little Show Up Wise Up Rise Up masterclass. What does it mean to show up, wise up, rise up? And also how to implement that within your business. So I'm going to be sharing that with you in the title section of each of our lives going forward after today, so that you can download that and use it as a tool to work on your business when you need to work on your business and not in your business. So I thought you would find that helpful, as this is the Show Up Wise Up Rise Up show. It does come from one of the processes that I teach to small businesses when I work with them. And I don't work with as many small businesses anymore because of the concentration on speaking and all of the incredible speaking stuff and the speaking work that I do with lots of my clients out there. I did used to do small business coaching, and I think within here it's the right platform to do it. So we've got the Show Up Wise Up Rise Up masterclass that will be available on as of later on today. I'll pop the link to it into the comments and also onto the titles of our show going forward. Keep your eyes out for sponsored ads, you guys. There are sponsored ads. We're having a little dabble with sponsored ads. If you see it, will you tag me in it? Will you give them a little share and help get the engagement going on those? That would be mega helpful. In the meantime, have a fabulous Tuesday, and I will see you tomorrow bright and breezy at 8 o'clock. Have an incredible day, you guys. I love you.